What is up guys, it's Solheim here, back with another Wrath of the Lich King Classic video. Today we are talking about the Paladin in Wrath of the Lich King, and I know there are a lot of class guides out there already, so I'm going to be doing what I know best in World of Warcraft, which is gold farming, and I'm going to be looking at each class in Wrath of the Lich King Classic, and talk about their gold farming potential in Wrath. Before we get into the video, I also want to let you guys know that I've made and published my own gold guide for Wrath of the Lich King Classic, for those of you looking to make as much gold as possible. I have poured my heart and soul into creating that guide, and the support has been absolutely insane so far. I cannot thank you guys enough, but seriously, thank you. If you want to grab it, the link will be down below in the video description as well as the pinned comment, and you can also use the code Solheim to get it for 50% off. The guide itself contains gold farms, gold making strategies and techniques, the best professions for gold making, and best of all, preparations and investments. So let's talk Paladin. Paladins are really a jack of all trades in Wrath of the Lich King. Think of Paladins in the Burning Crusade, but jacked up massively. Retribution Paladins have had their DPS improved, Holy Paladins have had their healing improved, and Protection Paladins have had their everything improved. Threat generation, damage dealt, damage reduction, damage absorption, AoE damage, dodge and block chance, you name it, it's improved. So what does that mean then? Well, first off, Paladins are a lot better at open world farming. I am not saying they will be the best, but they are definitely a lot more viable now than they were before, and both Protection Paladins and Retribution Paladins will be able to do open world farms at pretty high efficiency. One key thing to keep in mind here is that Retribution Paladins will be way more effective at short rounds of burst DPS, making them more attractive in farms where you pull 1 to 5 mobs in one pull, while Protection Paladins rely on slow and steady AoE damage, while absorbing and tanking damage, making them excellent at pulls with more than 6 mobs. I'm not really here to talk too much about open world farming, so all I'm saying is that Paladins are better at it now than they were or have previously been, mostly due to a lot of class changes related to the Paladin, which I guess we'll take a quick look at. So Paladin seals now last a whole 30 minutes, making it a buff instead of something that you constantly need to reapply. Paladin judgments are now divided into 3 different judgment spells, so you have Judgment of Wisdom, Judgment of Light, and Judgment of Justice, for example. These judgments no longer consumes your seals, which makes the gameplay feel smoother. As a Protection Paladin, you get a new spell in Wrath of the Lich King Classic called Hammer of the Righteous, which helps you deal even more AoE damage, and it basically functions like an AoE Crusader Strike. As a Retribution Paladin, you also get a new spell in Wrath of the Lich King called Divine Storm, which improves your AoE damage by a ton. You also have a bunch of talent adjustments that gives you increased mana regen as well as increased damage, that basically just makes you a juiced up Paladin. Next up, let's talk about something that I learned in TBC Classic that is definitely also true in Wrath. Paladins are the best class to use for farming herbalism and mining in the open world. My original thought on this was that druids were the best option with their instant flight form, allowing them to skip the cast time for mounting up. On the other hand, paladins have a talent called Pursuit of Justice, increasing their movement speed by 50% or 15%, but they also have Crusader Aura, which increases their mounted speed by 20%. These two effects do not stack, so the highest value will always be chosen, but by having the talent for 15%, you ensure that you will always have that 15% movement increase, even if you sometimes forget to apply Crusader Aura. So this created the question of what's better, 20% movement speed or instant flight form. In a perfect world where you are farming all by yourself, instant flight form is 100% the best option, as there are so many possible mining veins and herbalism nodes, and you will have to dismount and mount up again hundreds of times per hour. That being said though, you are not the only one farming, which means you will be dismounting and remounting less, and you also have to fly a further distance between each and every single node, and multiple tests were done on this in TBC Classic, which did determine that Paladins were slightly better than Druids, even if there were only 5 people farming in the same zone. For Wrath of the Lich King, the scale tips even more in the Paladin's favor, as the mount cast time is now 1.5 seconds, down from 3 seconds, so if Paladins beat Druids with a 3-second mount of time, they definitely beat them with a 1.5 second mount of time. So basically, if you want to have a character with herbalism and mining, and you want to farm at max efficiency, being a Paladin with herbalism and mining is the way to go. Next up, Paladin boosting. Paladin boosting will become incredibly simple up to level 70, and will probably be the go-to class for boosting up alts in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. More gear, more damage output, more block, more avoidance, more dodge. Being level 80 makes them have a higher chance of blocking and dodging against mobs that they have currently struggled against in TBC Classic, and we also have the Essence of the Gossamer Trinket coming in Wrath of the Lich King, which will also help Paladins become even better at boosting. Paladin boosting is however a little bit gear dependent, so for boosting level 60 to 70 you might need some gear, and once you have really good gear, you might also be able to boost some Wrath of the Lich King dungeons, allowing you to boost new players from 68 to 75 in Wrath dungeons, which could really be a lucrative way of making gold. But even if you just stick with the easier boosting level bracket, so for example level 10 to 68, there is a lot of gold to be made there as well, especially in Wrath of the Lich King, where we now have access to heirlooms, which also means people will be passively leveling up more alts, and the fact that almost every class in the game is viable in Wrath of the Lich King is another reason why a lot of people will be leveling up new characters. Also, Paladin tanks and Paladin healers can sell their tanking and healing service for the random dungeon finder, which can actually be quite lucrative as well, and you can make some semi-passive gold while you're also doing your own daily dungeons, so it's a win-win, and you can make some semi-passive gold while doing the things you're already doing. So this is why I call the Paladins the jack of all trades in Wrath. They can do just about everything, and not just that, but they are really good at everything. Open world farming, herbalism, mining, skinning, boosting, tank services, healing services. Paladins are really good, and in my opinion they are the best class for gold farming in Wrath of the Lich King. But hey, don't just take my word for it, make your own Paladin and test it out for yourself. Once again, for a lot more gold making information, including many specific gold farms, and my own personal favorite gold farm, make sure you check out my gold guide for Wrath of the Lich King Classic. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more WOTLK videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.